Hiya, folks. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Magic Key Chats. To all who come to the Happy Chats, welcome. I'm your host, Ryan,
And I'm Amanda.
and today we're going to talk about the gray stuff. It's delicious. Did I steal that from you?
I mean, I'll let you have it, I guess. We're not only talking about the gray stuff, though, which is delicious. It's more, we're going to talk about themed snacks and eating because one of my favorite topics are snacks. But we're also going to be talking about food, okay? Because we are going to get in on it with two spots where you can get either snacks or food in the Disneyland park, which is Red Rose Tavern and Maurice's Treats. So, Ryan, what is the extent of your experience with Red Rose Tavern?
So, Red Rose Tavern, I have only gone in. Maybe I ate there when I was younger, but more recently was the first time I ever experienced Maurice's Treats. And one of those low key, hidden out of the way. If you don't know it's there, you don't go there. But dear God, you got to go try at least Maurice's Treats. And I believe if you like Red Rose Tavern, that's more yours.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Maurice's Treats too. I think they're two different. They're definitely two different things. I do love Red Rose Tavern mainly because of its theming, which we'll get into, versus anything else. The food's okay. I will say, anytime I happen to eat food, it's way quicker and like really easy to get through. But I will say that I mostly get a Diet Coke when I'm in Fantasyland there. So for those of you who don't know, Red Rose Tavern is in Fantasyland, and it is the Beauty and the Beast themed food spot, I guess. Right? Is that what they're called? Food spots? I'm just gonna call them food spots, where they like have food, but they're not like a stand. They're not technically a restaurant if you can mobile order.
It's like a quick sit down restaurant. It's not like full dine in, but their version of fast food.
Yeah, like you go order at the window, like you go to the kiosk person and you order off the menu and you pick up at the window kind of thing, and then you go like sit in the area. Or you can mobile order, which I highly recommend, especially at Red Rose Tavern, to mobile order because it gets kind of messy with people like not knowing what they're doing. So mobile order, everyone.
And it's a high congested area too, with all that's like the one sit down place in Fantasyland.
It is.
That's normally why I've avoided it.
I mean, I guess it would probably depend on what the weather is like, but if the weather's nice, it's highly congested outside, but not necessarily inside. Do you remember what it looks like on the inside? Red Rose Tavern?
Yeah, I love going there. Like the theming is great.
Let's start with the theming. Our thoughts, ideas, maybe descriptors get people excited about what's cool about the theming.
Yeah, so like, I mean, imagine yourself in Beauty and the Beast, where it's like, colonial, I guess we'll call it, kind of colonial style, woodwork everywhere, and then I believe there's like that, like the what do they call that? Like the stained glass windows everywhere too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have some of those.
Yeah, I really haven't gone the inside too much. Just your Beauty and the Beast type theming.
Yeah, which is really cool. So there's two sides. So what I love is like, I'm not gonna lie, this is so funny. The doors to get in are like the auto sliding doors, like at grocery stores. Those double sliding doors. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Just now thinking about that. Maybe it's been a minute since I've been in there. I really don't remember that.
Because you don't see that you don't really see that anywhere in the park, I don't think. Auto opening doors or anything like that.
Not in this park, no.
So I think that's not that that's like the selling point of Red Rose Tavern.
Go for the doors.
And it's kind of hidden because you don't really know it's there. And like most things in Fantasyland, because it's kind of behind, is it Pinocchio? No, yeah, it's like behind Pinocchio, right?
Yeah, it's behind Pinocchio,
Like if you're like on your way out of Fantasyland.
where the bathroom is.
Yes, I was just gonna say it's right next to the bathroom. If you're not like fully looking at it, you kind of miss it. And there's like a little small courtyard area so you can sit outside and there's chairs and tables and stuff. So when you go in, the doors are automatic, and like right when you go in are Cogsworth and Lumiere. It's like a big stained glass like window behind them, and it says "Be Our Guest." And I just think it's like the cool like you go in. Obviously, it's called Red Rose Tavern. So when you're walking in from the front, you're like, okay, yeah, this is a Beauty and the Beast theme. But then like as soon as you get in, there's that like in your face like you're walking into a scene from Beauty and the Beast, and I haven't been to, like, every food area in Disneyland. I've been to a lot of them, and a lot of them are themed to the area of the park that they're in, and it's cool with the decor and stuff, but I feel like this might be the most immersive in all the parks. Not in all the parks, in all the park, like the Disneyland park. I could be wrong, so at me, anybody.
For like the food theme.
Like, dining wise, as far as, like, the full scope of the theme and, like, theming with that area, and not just, like, what the colors look like and what's on the walls and stuff. So you see that when you walk in, straight ahead is where all the food and ordering and windows are. And then on your right and left are 2 different seating areas. And I don't know if you ever noticed this because I know you don't frequent it, but both sides are like completely different feels. So like if you're walking in, your left side is more so there's a stained glass window and it's more so like not the beast castle kind of thing, but it's like more decorated in alignment with, like, a bell kind of feel and all that kind of fun stuff. The other side is, like, antlers on the wall, there's, like, a mirror and everything like that, and it's more of, like, a Gaston feel. So I don't know if you ever noticed that, but it's pretty cool, so pay attention.
I haven't, but I think like what's just like more recency for me is the Gaston's. Is it might be called Red Rose Tavern out in Florida too. There's the Beauty and Beast area out there, and I'm pretty sure it's called Gaston's, but it's straight up that the pub from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, is there a pub?
Yeah, it's got a giant photo of Gaston and the big antlers everywhere, and
Okay. At Disney World, one of the bathrooms near there has that big statue of Gaston and the barrels.
that's right outside it. Yeah.
I only know this because I I have a Instagram page called Poses with Statues, 'cause I like to pose with statues. It's a hobby, and I told my friend, I was like, "Okay, I need you to get this angle." I was like, "Should I do this?" And I was like, "Should I mimic it?" And it's like or you know what? It's not Gaston, it's LeFou with the barrels,
Oh yeah,
but I feel like there's a statue of Gaston too. But anyway, yeah, it's LeFou.
it's inside. It's a portrait of him.
Yeah, isn't the restaurant so are there 2 different places? Because 'Cause isn't there a restaurant called Be Our Guest?
Yes, Be Our Guest is different. Be Our Guest is like the sit down one because that was like an added area. I want to say a couple years back because I know I have yet to have been there because they added like Bell's Castle like in the background, kind of like how you would see it like storytellers where it's not like large but it's there.
Yeah, we did Be Our Guest. We did the sit down at Be Our Guest for my birthday dinner when I went a few years ago, and then they have, like, a second section, which is more so, like, casual it's still, like, sit dining, but, like, more casual dining. It's called the West Wing, and it's decorated like the West Wing. It's so cool. I don't know if you've, like, explored in Disney World because 'cause we're talking all things restaurant, food themed Beauty and the Beast, so at Disney World, I don't have you ever been inside Be Our Guest?
No, I have not.
Like that it's it's so cool. I mean, as far as Beauty and the Beast themed dining goes, Walt Disney World does win in this category. So they have like different options. So one of them is like a formal like dining package where it's like whatever set price and then you pick, your options from your entrees or whatever and it's like your 3, 4 course meal or whatever. When you walk in, it's like you're walking to the doors of like the Beast Castle and there's like gargoyles and like then there's like the stained glass window. Super cool. Just wait because we had to wait like 15, 20 minutes, I think, like for a like when we checked in for a reservation. Super, super fun and cool. And then the dining area is literally the ballroom. You feel like you are sitting in the ballroom from Beauty and the Beast. It's an experience that everyone should definitely do once in their life if they are a frequent Disney go. It was amazing because I was one of those people, like, I don't really care for I don't really care for real food, and I don't care to put the energy into making reservations because I mean, you gotta make them well in advance or keep, like, refreshing, just like with any dining reservations, but luckily, my friend is really good at that, and she likes to plan, so she booked the reservation because she's like, "What do you wanna do? Do you wanna do this on this day, on this day?" She's like, "We should do that for your birthday dinner." And I said, "Okay, sure." Like, I don't care. I was so glad she because I wouldn't have done it on my own. There's no way that I would have put the energy to make the reservation. Definitely, definitely worth it. That formal dining is like you're sitting in the ballroom, which is super, super cool. And then there's another area that's more of like casual dining, and it's called the West Wing, and it looks like the West Wing. So it's dark and it has the portrait that has the slash through it, and there's like snow from the window, and then there's like the rose with the falling petals projected on the walls. It's so cool. It's definitely cool. Like if even if you're just walking through, and at the time, what we did was when we got like the dining package, there's like another area you can go and you have a meet and greet with the beast, and he's all like dressed up and stuff like that, and it's super cool. I don't know what other Beauty and the Beast themed stuff, food wise, is at Disney World because I haven't explored enough. I don't know if there's. You said there's a pub.
Yeah, it was like I was trying to like Google it, chatting. I was like, I don't remember what it was called. I swear it was like called Gaston's or something like that. But yeah, because you walk in there and it's like quick orders too. You go up to a window and then you have the portrait of Gaston and like the fireplace, like the scene where they're singing like the whole Gaston song. So like antlers everywhere. It looks like that pub in there. That's the one I know of. Like right outside. I'm pretty sure that's where LeFou is.
It's Gaston's Tavern, and it serves snacks and non-alcoholic,
There it is. Because I thought I was able to get alcohol.
and it is in the Enchanted Forest area of New Fantasy. It's called New Fantasyland.
That I did not know.
I'm reading directly off of the Walt Disney World website. Is the way I'm reading off.
I do know it's right near the mine train, Snow White's mine train, which I've still yet to do.
It is, which apparently is New Fantasyland.
Oh, New Fantasyland. Their Fantasyland was so underwhelming compared to Disneyland that they had to expand it and keep trying.
Oh my gosh, that should be that's a whole topic on itself. Fantasyland, Walt Disney World versus Disneyland. No one at me with this topic. No one at me.
Oh no,
Someone wants to battle me that Fantasyland is better in Disney World. Like, get some glasses.
no Snow White, no Pinocchio, no Mr. Toad, no walk through Sleeping Beauty's castle.
The one thing that you might be able to argue is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is the only thing that you could say it would be great if Disneyland had that.
Yeah,
Sure, absolutely it would. And it would be cool if we had a Rapunzel themed bathroom.
yeah. Oh, that whole Rapunzel era too. Not even just what is it? I saw it was like Tokyo Disney gets a whole.
The new ride in Tokyo. I was ready to book a flight to Tokyo. My brother and I talked about going to Tokyo this summer. And I was like, "Oh, that'd be great because then we could go Disney Tokyo." He's like, "Yeah, I'm down." But we literally considered going to Tokyo, and then I saw the new Tangled story. It's basically a storytelling ride, just like Ariel's Grotto and almost like the Snow White kind of thing.
Just the like kind of classic dark ride
But it's Tangled.
with newer technology than, or like newer effects, I should say.
I wonder how they'll compare though. Like, do you think they're gonna be like outstandingly different than? Well, I mean, it's also Japan. But like, let's say they build that because there's talk about it potentially being part of the expansion here at Disneyland, like adding that.
Tangled, Frozen, all that. Yeah, I'd be down for it.
The Frozen row is kind of cool, but I'd rather do a Tangled one. But yeah, like let's say they build a Tangled one. I don't know that there's going to be like a heavy distinction in high tech quality, like difference between like something like that and like the Snow White ride or Ariel's Grotto.
Have you been on the Snow White ride recently?
Oh, it's amazing. It's one of my favorite ones.
Until yesterday, I hadn't gone on it in like maybe 10 years.
Oh, since they redid it?
Yeah, I didn't know they redid it, and seeing the effects that they had in there, I was like, okay. Didn't do it for Pinocchio or the other ones, but definitely did it for Snow White, which is very cool.
Maybe one day. Just this is turning into a Fantasyland episode,
I know we kind of went away from Red Rose Tavern, and
which is in Fantasyland. And you know what though? You know what else I know? Like now that we're talking about that, I feel like that's the only Beauty and the Beast cult. I guess if you're talking about like princess, like there's not a lot of there's not there's so much to reference and do throughout Fantasyland and the park that I guess what else are you gonna do, right? Because like Sleeping Beauty has the castle and the walkthrough. Belle has Red Rose Tavern. And we have Maurice's treats. What Cinderella doesn't have anything. The other princesses and Snow White has her ride.
Snow White has the ride
But there's only like three real princesses by birth
in Fantasyland.
in Disney princess history.
Oh, you're talking like oh yeah, okay. like definition of by birth.
Right? Because wasn't it you and I that were talking about how, like, if you see, like, an image,
The white glove,
the white gloves are like, oh, they were, like, married into being a princess because they, like, married the prince?
Sleeping Beauty.
No, Sleeping Beauty was a princess.
Yeah, so by birth.
Oh, I thought you were telling me that she was marrying into be I was like, "No."
No, so by no, I'm thinking by birth. So really, Sleeping Beauty,
Snow White, Sleeping Beauty.
Snow White, not Cinderella, not Belle,
You got Princess Jasmine,
Jasmine,
Ariel.
Ariel.
Merida, if we're technically considering Merida a Disney princess since we recently found out she's a Pixar princess. What?
The Pixar princess.
Oh,
Merida on the Pixar side. Yeah, that was until they took out the Enchanted Library and California Adventure. That was really the only Beauty and the Beast representation in Disneyland is Red Rose Tavern.
yeah, it was cool to look at. I mean, it didn't really function well,
No.
serve much of a function. I was like, "Oh, it's so cool that it's there,"
Yeah.
if I'm being fair. But also they're not doing anything productive with it anyway, so it's stupid that they took it out. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, there's because you don't really see any Aladdin stuff. They used to have like a area in Adventureland where it was like meet and greet with Aladdin and Princess Jasmine, but they don't have. Walt Disney World has the ride, the Magic Carpet ride.
And the meet and greet.
But I will say you do see Prince Ali and the genie in the parade,
See?
and in certain parades, and when they did Fantasmic, you would see Belle and the Beast.
Yeah, I mean, you see those.
I guess there's I guess there's a solid representation. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have Maurice's Treats and Red Rose Tavern. So she gets two restaurants or food options.
Could you imagine if they doubled the size of Fantasyland, what they could do with the amount of different, like, theming wise, like having a Gaston's Tavern as well. Like, it wouldn't make sense though. You wouldn't need it because you already have Red Rose Tavern and Maurice's Treats.
So we were kind of talking about this between my siblings and I, where the Lion King theater was, all that back room back there.
Yeah, wasted space.
Yeah. I mean, because reality, as good as I like the Lion King show, if they really wanted to expand out on Fantasyland and have it still be within that realm by Small World and by all that, you can add a good chunk.
You know, that's not a bad idea because if they wanted to bring back some kind of stage show, they could put it at DCA. And I mean, you wouldn't fit as many people, I don't think, but there's lots of standing room there too.
What, Hyperion, or are you talking elsewhere?
No, no, no. No, I'm talking about the stage in the back lot
Oh,
that we always forget is there.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah, and they really do not utilize those like live shows like they used to since COVID.
There's so much wasted space comparatively to how close everything is and like because almost all of Fantasyland rides are all attached to each other.
Yeah, oh my, yeah. Pinocchio, Snow White.
That's why Fantasyland in Disneyland doesn't it have more rides than the Fantasyland in Disney World?
It does.
And it's smaller and it's just more compact. Though I mean, there's less walking space, but still, it's not horrible.
Really, the only ride that they have there that we don't have at Disneyland is Snow White's Mine Train.
Yeah, but Disneyland has Mr. Toad's,
But yeah, Disneyland does, not Disney World.
and Disney World doesn't have a Pinocchio one, does it?
Doesn't have Pinocchio, Mr. Toad, Snow White,
They have Peter Pan.
Matterhorn, but it's not Fantasyland.
They don't have Alice in Wonderland either.
Correct. Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, significant amount.
That was 5. They have teacups and a carousel. Not as cool.
They have a carousel, but it's not as good.
Yep.
Do you know why it's not as good? Because it's a basic carousel, okay? King Arthur's carousel in Fantasyland. Do you know what I'm gonna say? Do you know what I'm gonna say?
Go ahead. I don't know what a basic carousel is, but go ahead.
Meaning it's just a basic it doesn't feel themed at all in Disney World.
Oh,
It's like just a basic carousel. Like, oh, it's a carousel.
okay.
King Arthur's carousel. When you're on the carousel on the inside, do you know what I'm gonna say?
Oh, of our I know.
They have scenes from Sleeping Beauty all around on the carousel.
Yep. You pointed that out last time. Took me a minute.
How do you not notice that?
I only go on the carousel when you're there, so that's why.
You know, you're never too big for the carousel. Mary Poppins and Bert, they ride the carousel, and sometimes they ride it with the pearl band while they're playing on the carousel. I just saw this for the first time, like, last month.
That's what that was.
So cool. Anyhow, so Red Rose Tavern. So the theming, I think, is great, and I would say, even though I might not have sat in every single food area in Disneyland, I think is the highest level themed of all of them, which is always great. Who doesn't love a good theme? So it's fun. It's fun. And they also have, like, little water fountain station where it, like, looks like an old school, like, water fountain, but also, like, has, like, a drip so you can, like, fill up your water too. So, in case you're thirsty, you wanna fill up water there. Yeah, but the tables and chairs inside are, like, super clunky, like, you feel like as if you're put yourself in the position of watching Beauty and the Beast, like, when they're in the tavern, and that's what the feel is, and that is what this is called Red Rose Tavern. But that's what the chairs and tables are like, they're big and clunky wood, and it's I don't know, it's just even if you just go get a churro and then you decide to go sit inside there, I highly recommend it because I just think it really puts you, like, in the story, and we talk about that a lot where you're being part of the story, so even just sitting in there and, as and then we can transition into the food that's there. You don't like the food there.
I don't go out of my way for it. Like the what is it, the chicken cordon bleu sandwich? That one I would get the flatbread. I'm like literally looking at the photos of it now. Not the chicken cordon bleu, but like where other restaurants would probably just have metal chairs, like light, effective, efficient, like having like legit wood chairs, heavy, like you're in that time period. That's very. I've only seen, like I said, I've only really seen the outside has the metal chairs, but inside, yeah, I'm looking like with stained glass. Dang, okay, you know what? I gotta check this out next time.
You're taking a virtual tour.
I really am doing that. Yeah, chicken cordon bleu, the burgers and flatbreads is really what I saw when I was going there.
The food's not fantastic, okay? It's first of all, it's park food, but especially because it's in Fantasyland, so especially if you're there with your kids or you just want something, like, super quick and easy to eat, they have burgers, chicken tenders, tots. They even have a harvest bowl, which actually is very good, I've tried it. So, I don't normally I've only eaten, like, lunch food or dinner food, like, once there maybe, and they're actually, their flatbreads are pretty good. They also serve Red Rose Tavern, if I get to the parks, like, super early and I'm like, "Oh, I kinda want breakfast food versus, like, a snack," whi which, by the way, we've already talked about beignets, and we know that sometimes Amanda's breakfast food when she goes to the parks is beignets. The only other 2 things I will eat for breakfast are Red Rose Tavern and Maurice's Treats,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll get to Maurice's Treats.
Yes,
So there's, like, different breakfast options, and one of them is a Mickey shaped pancakes.
I am just seeing this now with scrambled eggs and choice of hickory smoked bacon and sausage. What?
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're like, "Oh, I wanna sit down and have breakfast, like, with my family or whatever," and you can't, because it's tough to get into Carnation Cafe for breakfast, like, especially on a busy day. It's tough to get on the wait list sometimes. They have great Mickey waffles at Carnation Cafe. But if you're like, "Oh, like, can't get a reservation," or I don't wanna, like, have a sit down, I don't wanna, like, do the sit down thing, Red Rose Tavern, that's your go-to spot for breakfast, in my opinion. Because I think there's breakfast offerings at there might be breakfast offerings at 1 or 2 other places. I'm sure they all have, like, some semi-semblance of breakfast options, but that's my go-to if I'm like, "Oh, I want something a little bit more, like, filling, like, breakfast-wise, like, actual food." That's what I go to Red Rose Tavern for. Not necessarily, like, the burgers and stuff, but the cool thing too is, like, the burgers are wrapped too, so if you just wanna, like, if you have, like, all your kids and whatever, you're, like, getting 5 or 6 burgers for your kids and your family, and then you're like, "Hey, let's walk and eat a burger." It's kinda very easy to walk. Yeah, so the food's, like, nothing amazing, but there are a couple of things I do wanna highlight, and one of those things is a staple of the Red Rose Tavern, which is called the gray stuff, and we are gonna talk about the gray stuff. Have you ever had the gray stuff, Ryan?
No,
It really is delicious. See, you took my line and you haven't even tried it. How could you say it's delicious if you've never tried it?
I didn't know how else to open up this episode here, and it just rang off the bell.
Okay, after our conversation about why have you never tried the gray, did you know that they had something called the gray stuff?
No, no idea.
Surprise everyone, this is your takeaway from this episode. You're probably like, "We don't care about Red Rose Tavern and that it's school themed, and we don't care about Maurice's Treats, even though you guys haven't started talking about it yet." You now care about Red Rose Tavern because they have the gray stuff. No one lie. Anytime you're watching that scene in Beauty and the Beast and the Be Our Guest scene where the plates are flying and Lumiere's singing and, like, there's this, like, thing in front where he's like, "Try the gray stuff. It's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes." First of all, most fun line in that movie probably. No one thought to themselves, "I wonder what the gray stuff is and why is it so delicious?" We all thought that. Every single one of us thought that. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, go on. Yeah.
I'm not, right? Be honest. Growing up, did you ever think to yourself, I wonder what the gray stuff tastes like?
Of course, kid, you want to eat everything you see. Most people would want to know what that is and what it tastes like. And Disneyland gives you the opportunity.
Disclaimer, don't try to eat this on your own because I did that the first time I tried it. And it was so good.
Oh, is it? It's not single serving.
Imagine decadence of the Snickers macaroon from Food and Wine.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, I haven't tried it, so I can't actually honestly say, but from what you described, I don't think it's that level of decadence, but it's a very good portion size. And if it's, like, the only thing or only sugar you're having, like, all day and, like, you haven't, like, eaten much else, like, you could probably finish and be like, "Oh, that was really great." But if you're like, "Wanna try a little bit of everything," I highly recommend sharing it.
Share.
I think I was just looking at what are all of the different restaurant different food options one time when I was there. I'm looking through on, like, the app, which I use for dining sometimes. I was going through Red Rose Tavern, and I'm like, "Oh, like, what do they have here?" And I'm scrolling through, and I'm like, "There's something called gray stuff?" I'm like, "I always wondered what gray stuff tasted like. I have to try this." Like, before I even looked at what's in it, I was like, "I have to try this." Then I looked what's in it, and I was like, "I'm definitely trying this." It was also, like, Christmas time, so, like, sweet tooth, like, all up in there.
Ah, mm,
So on the plate, there's like a little shortbread cookie, and on top of the shortbread cookie is like a piece of red velvet cake, and then it is covered with mousse. I think it's a vanilla mousse,
white chocolate mousse. I've got it up here.
white chocolate mousse. Yeah, yeah. It's a white chocolate mousse, and it's like a grayish purple color. And they sometimes, so that's like the general gray stuff. Which, by the way, I have to say, I haven't seen just gray stuff in a really long time because it's always seasonally based now, which kind of annoys me. Because right now it's the summer gray stuff. And I'll mention this too about Red Rose Tavern is there is a seasonal section. They do a good job at having certain seasonal things. But the gray stuff, so yeah, so it's just like there's the gray stuff. And then there's little like the little pearls, like little edible pearls, like sprinkles are on there. So it's number one, a beautiful sight. And it tastes so good. And they've changed the colors where they put like different colored sprinkles for different seasons. So in the spring they had like pastel colored sprinkles on it or whatever instead of just like the traditional stuff. But anyway, I digress. They're basically calling it something different with the theme, like spring gray stuff and like summer gray stuff, but it's the same stuff. So good. And then you could eat it on your own, but it can be a lot if you're like having other sweets. Like if you're planning to like beignet and churro the rest of the day and Dole Whip, don't have the gray stuff on your own. So it's a great shareable thing, especially if and like the red velvet cake is so good. Like it's moist and rich. So it's not just like a dry piece of whatever. Like it's good. Plus, like, the mousse can be kinda heavy, and then I will say, like, I've taken a bite of the cookie for the sake of it, but sometimes I'm, like, so full from everything else that I can't eat the cookie.
sounds very decadent.
It is, it is. Are you wanting to try it now, or are you just kinda like, "Oh, that's cool." You look like you don't care.
I think the red velvet cake part is throwing me off because I'm actually not a fan of red velvet.
What? How do you not like who doesn't like red velvet?
Meh.
Well, why? Like, what about red do you like chocolate cake?
Yes.
Then how do you not like red velvet cake?
Oh, how's the best way to describe that? Overdone in a lifetime, because as I've mentioned before, my family is very heavy on sweets. And that one year where I was straight up stuck in Florida because of all the canceled flights, all I had for breakfast for 2 weeks straight was red velvet bundt cake. So I think I got overdone with it.
Okay, but it's covered with vanilla chocolate mousse, so it tastes different.
I do want to give it a try.
I'll eat half of it for you.
Yeah. I would not be able to do that on my own.
We can get it. You can have a bite and then I'll eat the rest. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I won't because I still want beignets and Dole Whip.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. Me, I saw the photos. It looks delicious. Because that while I was perusing here,
That gray stuff is delicious.
if you don't believe me, ask the dishes.
Or you can just ask Amanda and she'll tell you that it is.
Yeah. So the one thing I will say too with like Red Rose Tavern, because what I discovered yesterday when I was looking for restaurants, because I got to the parks later than my group, they had already all eaten. I was looking for like something not just a snack. Like I actually needed like a meal, and we were hanging around the Fantasyland area, and that really is like the only non-snack option, especially if you have kids and you're not trying to lug them around to like a different area of the park.
Yeah.
So it is within the Fantasyland area really the only one where like if you need a meal with your kids, they got the fruit cart there. That's where I think I usually miss it is because I when most people look at it, they see it just as like an outside seating area. because then across the way you have the fruit cart, the little snack area. I think most folks would just assume that it's just like a sit down for that.
And you have a churro stand.
Yes, that was it. Churro stand.
Because I'm like, because people are like Ryan who need to sit down and eat their churros.
Yeah, that's why they built it that way.
Look around.
I got called out for that so much.
Look around at how many people are walking around eating their churro. Of all things, a churro, Ryan. I get it. The beignets, I get it. But a churro? You can't walk and eat a churro?
Had to sit down for a fruit cup yesterday.
You can't walk and eat a churro. Really?
I'm sure I could. I'm sure I could.
I believe in you. You thought you couldn't ride Incredicoaster, and here we are.
Whoa. Whoa.
I'm gonna make you get a churro and walk.
We're going down a road that I don't think we want to go down right now.
Okay, so back to Red Rose Tavern.
Yes.
So did you actually eat there though?
I did not eat there because what I did find as another great breakfast option was Maurice's Treats, which was close enough for me to walk. But that's where like how I found out about Maurice's Treats. I didn't know about the breakfast because by the time I was searching for food, it was lunch. And now I'm looking at some of these breakfasts.
Right?
The Beast Breakfast Burger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I would eat there for breakfast. I think I actually like their breakfast options better than their lunch and dinner.
Yeah. I don't eat lunch. I usually don't eat lunch items anyway. It's really great, like easy, quick stuff for kids, or if you want just like some sustenance, like just like a pick me up in the middle of the day and not like go crazy on like where am I gonna go and eat? Stuff like that. Great option. But I don't prefer it for that. But I will go there for breakfast. I do prefer it as a breakfast spot.
I think a lot of people in the parks, they get so caught up on the fact that you have Starbucks like right out the front gate, and they would rather wait in line for that. I'm looking at the stuff here, and I'll tell you, I would rather come to Red Rose Tavern and have this stuff for breakfast than a quick Starbucks basic egg cheese sandwich and then their cold brew, because they have cold brew, they have juices.
I was just gonna say that just for you. I was like, they have a cold brew. So that also leads me into the other thing I wanted to make sure to mention is always happen to check Red Rose Tavern's menu because they do always have some kind of seasonal offering. And it's usually their cold brew is like a different twist to it. Because I think in October they do like a pumpkin spice cold brew or something like that. In the winter they do a different kind, like a nitro. So they have a nitro cold brew like regularly, but they also have like alternating drinks and I think right now they have their seasonal is like a strawberry rose lemonade. Not a strawberry lemonade person, but they have rose water in it. I'm like, I want to try that. And I don't usually get like not Diet Coke to drink. Yeah, so that's another thing to watch out for too is that their beverage selections that's usually what you're gonna see with the seasonal items. It's not usually the food stuff. Sometimes they'll have Christmas and Halloween time, they might have, like, 1 or 2 food items that are seasonal, but the rest of the year, they always usually have some kinda seasonal drink options that are interchanging, like some type of lemonade, usually, almost always a different type of cold brew,
Yeah, I did see that. I'll be honest, in this conversation, you've definitely talked up to convince me to definitely try it.
at least for breakfast.
Yeah, I have low key undersold Red Rose Tavern and not given it the appreciation. Like, dang. Then again, though, I'm also not there for breakfast a lot.
Yeah, I occasionally get to the parks in the morning. They serve breakfast till 10:30. So, if you're doing rope drop or you happen to get to the park a little bit earlier in the day, it's a great spot. I know a lot of Magic Key holders aren't usually going morning till end. Most of the time, they're usually going in the afternoon after work, what have you. So it might not be something you would think of or know that is a breakfast option, but it is. Even in the afternoons, I mean, if you want to say, hey, what's a cool treat or snack that I never thought of, the gray stuff, highly, highly recommend. If you're like, "Hey, I want a cool like, I wanna be part of a theme in the storytelling," definitely even if you're just walking in there just to look at it, highly recommend to do just check it out because it's super cool. I don't know, maybe other people wouldn't think it's as cool as I think it is, but I just think it's really cool, especially because I think it's the most done up theming food-wise and anywhere in both DCA and Disneyland.
Yeah, like if you're excluding the Star Wars stuff,
Okay, that's different.
yeah, because that was like, I mean, we're talking less than 5-10 years ago here. Yeah, Red Rose Tavern. I mean, like going back in my memory banks now, I remember going there as a kid. So and having that theming like that, you got Alien Pizza Planet, but
Eh.
I mean, it's not as like in depth. It's and I actually that could be a whole episode on how I think the mobile orders destroyed how awesome that place used to be. What's the burger bar or the burger area? It's called something different. Disney World, the one in Tomorrowland, like by Nemo. Oh man,
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what oh, yeah, I always forget it's there. I'm going to the Disneyland app, which I already had pulled up under dining.
so in Disney World, that like the burger restaurant is like a staple there. Where kind of another one was like the burger place here. Like I walked by it, but it's not as iconic.
It's called Galactic Grill.
Galactic Grill, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know it's there because all the tables and all that stuff's out there
Sometimes I don't know it's there unless I'm walking past it because it's the way it is you can walk around because they have the Galactic Grill, then they have, like, the seating area, then there's, like, that downstairs area where
for the dance party thing.
yeah, like, the dance parties, and so but you can walk around and behind that stage to get out of Tomorrowland as well, so sometimes it's easy to miss
Yeah,
because you don't have to walk directly past it, and I just think you can't compare Tomorrowland and Disneyland to Disney World. I do think that Tomorrowland and Disney World is way far superior as far as, like, the energy and the activity and, like, the awareness.
they've definitely put more work.
It's more li it feels more lively. You're not just like, "Hi, I'm just here to go to Space Mountain."
Yeah, yeah, but and like to the point, like Galactic Grill, like no theming. Really, it's just a like a spaceport burger bar. The what is it? The Tropical Hideaway. Yeah, but not in depth. Like you're just kind of like next to Jungle Cruise and Tiki Room. You know, be it made like Tiana's.
It's themed.
Yeah, it's themed, but it's not like where you see the storyline on the walls. You have like where you're saying like one side is like geared toward Belle and the other side is geared toward was it Gaston or Beast?
Mhm, Gaston.
Yeah. So the I mean even thinking how older that place is and like going into the detail of like the actual theme like you're in Fantasyland, it's keeping with the theme of like you are in the fantasy still and not just and in Beauty and the Beast alone. So I'll give you that one. Yeah, exclude the Star Wars stuff because that's a whole area where they make you feel like you're outside of.
The whole Galaxy's Edge is fully immersive and fully themed. There is nothing out of place when it comes to theming in Galaxy's Edge. I think and it's fairly new still. I don't really classify as part of the park anyway. It's in some ways, it's almost like it's its own thing. Why are you looking at me like
The Star Wars fan in me.
I feel like you're excluding it. What would you possibly say to me?
I don't know.
No, don't at me.
don't have don't add us Star Wars fans
I was looking at you and I said, "Don't at me."
and us speaking from the Star Wars representation.
Okay, okay.
You know what's funny is that when like I think most Florida folks I wonder if your friends did this. The Florida folks did they think that the Star Wars land was in the California Adventure side or the Disneyland side? Unless they already knew.
I don't know that they, like, initially thought it, but I was like, "Do you guys wanna do Rise of the Resistance and, like, Galaxy's Edge?" They're like, "Oh," they were surprised it wasn't in DCA.
Okay.
So, there was a comment made. I don't know, like, to what extent it was like, "Oh, so Star Wars is in DCA, right?" And it's like, "Oh, no, it's here." Like, that wasn't the conversation, but I definitely remember there being some kinda like, "Oh, it's there." And I told them ahead of time, I said, "Listen, I have to say, even though technically I think they're, like, semi-identical, because I've been to Galaxy's Edge in Disney World as well. So for the most part, they're identical, like, once you're fully in there, like, you feel immersed at Walt Disney World too. However, I think the way you enter changes your experience completely. If I'm being 100% honest. Because at Walt Disney World, because 'cause you're in Hollywood Studios and you're kinda walking and, like, is it past Muppets? The Muppets area where you, like, kinda turn the corner and then, like, then all of a sudden you're in Galaxy's Edge, like, as you're, like, walking the corner and, like, the theme shifts as you're walking one place. Okay, fine. In Disneyland, you're transitioning out of Disneyland, whether it's you're going through from, like, the back end of Fantasyland, or if you're going from what is it, Frontierland, right?
By Big Thunder.
Yeah, so there's 2 entrances. Yeah, the backside of it, like, yeah, where whose corner is.
Yep.
So there's 2 entrances in, 1 on each side, I guess, of Galaxy's Edge, where you come in from Fantasyland. you go through a tunnel and you're like walking through, which by the way, you can get to by passing Red Rose Tavern if you're in Fantasyland. See, I tie everything back to our topic.
Yep. Finally.
So going through, which I don't know how we got on the Star Wars topic, but full immersion. So I think that does a lot to the experience too, with just the immersion and the theming is the fact that like how you transition in for anyone who cares.
I know the other side, and the other side in Disney World is through Toy Story. So one minute you're looking at the Slinky Dog coaster,
And giant toys and tables.
yep, and giant toys. The next thing you're walking through, and again, doesn't have that transition. Yeah, right by Red Rose Tavern and the bathrooms there. Did they theme those with Beauty and the Beast too?
The outside is themed, but I think the only fully themed bathrooms like on the inside are the Alice in Wonderland bathrooms.
Yeah, the cards.
Yes, I love those. Otherwise, like the outside of it is themed. It's like, oh, princes and princesses or whatever. And like it looks like the architecture is like the same as like Red Rose Tavern kind of thing. So that's cool.
Yeah, and don't they do? They have the candy apples right across from there too, if I remember right.
Do they?
Or maybe I'm thinking of just the. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking that it's because they do the candy apple sipper in like the Halloween time, and it's at the churro cart.
Oh,
That's what I'm thinking of, not the candy apples itself.
oh, churro cart. They have the sipper at the churro cart?
Yeah, reared right. It's like either at the churro cart or it's at the fruit stand. It's I know it's in that back little corner area. Yeah.
The poison apple, like caramel apple, like the candied apple, the poison apple one. I always get it during Halloween time.
Oh,
It's too much sugar though. I don't know that I could do it anymore. It's too much sugar. I love a good caramel apple every once in a while, but too much sugar, too much.
not better than the gray stuff.
I think all things are good in their own right.
Oh,
I don't pick favorites with snacks. I say it's either really good and it's one of my favorites, or it's like, could do with or without it. It's edible, it's fine, and then it's like, oh no. Those are the 3 levels.
can you believe this is really our only like second food related, like truly food related episode?
I know I've been waiting for this.
I mean, food and wine festival. I'm counting it as like a festival one, not necessarily toward the food. Like this is like aside from beignets, only the second time you've had the opportunity to like go ham on food related things.
Someone asked me earlier, "How do you have so many topics to talk about?" Like,
One just go on food.
well, I explained that this isn't like, "Hey, here's some Disney tips," or "Here's how to," like, we're gonna give you all the fun facts about Disney, and then, like, at the end of the day, your list's over, right? And so it's like you got, like, a seasoned podcast, and more so it's like Disneyland is the springboard of a topic that's Disneyland related, but it could tangent a million different directions, and, like, we go deep on the topic deeper than is necessary, right? Like, I could easily just say, "Hey, guys, here are the top restaurants you should try if you want breakfast foods. Go to Red Rose Tavern. They have this, 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 and that. And it's really great themed." That's a 5-minute pitch right there. I'm like, Red Rose Tavern. Like, we've been talking literally almost an hour specific because we haven't even gotten to Maurice's treats yet, which I cannot wait to get into.
Me neither.
Okay, which we will, and it will get its due time as well. Now we've had slight tangents, but that's the whole point of this podcast. Like, whatever our topic is, it's not like that's the only topic that's covered, so you gotta listen to the whole thing to see what else we're gonna talk about.
I feel like I want to be the anti tips and tricks folks. I don't want to give away like you lose the magic when you give away the secrets. Like I was explaining it to friends of mine who asked me like what the podcast is about. Like it's not I'm going to tell you or we're going to tell you everything and like how to do it, the best way to go do it, because a big portion of the Disney magic is discovering yourself and like being wowed by the things yourself.
Yes.
So like the best way I word it to them is like it's like going buying a video game, and just the best way I can explain it. It's like going to buy a video game, but before you go buy the video game, you watch somebody else beat the entirety of the thing, and you already know how to beat it. You already know how it all goes. So like, what was the point of buying it and going through the adventure of like playing it if you already know what's going to happen? And you just kind of like follow somebody else's story.
Do you wanna know the sad reality of what you just described?
Is that's what most people want?
The sad reality is that that's what most people are doing. Whether they innately want it or are aware of it, I don't even know that people are necessarily aware of how you like, when you describe it, you're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, no one would consciously agree to that." But that's what people are doing. people are watching people play video games. There are videos of people watching people watch people playing a video game
Big thing.
and getting enjoyment out of it, and people are already doing it with video games, but they do it with everything, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to I have an issue with people who there's a difference with someone who's like, I'm gonna feel more at ease riding Space Mountain if I see this video about someone riding Space Mountain. But what is with this ride recording?
Oh my god.
Part of it is it takes the magic away from everything. Like, I don't care to see I don't wanna see what Space Mountain looks like. I don't ever want to be stuck on Space Mountain because I never want them to turn the lights on. Like, I don't wanna see what that looks like.
Right.
I don't ever wanna be like, "Hey, let me give you a tour of Space Mountain on the inside when the lights are on, and, here's what the track looks like," and I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
No, I wanna experience Space Mountain."
I'm okay with the ones that like help you maximize, like, for those who are there for like the 3 4 day, like that's their one time here, maybe a year or a couple years. Like helping you maximize your trip is a goal, and if you're using tips and tricks for that, by all means, like you're spending a lot of money to be there. I totally expect you to want to know like what's the best time to go do this and what's the best time, whatever, whatnot. But like kind of like mentioned before, like when they do like a seasonally released thing, like it's something they're having for you to like, especially magic key holders, like they give you something to go explore and discover, and then you see somebody within the next 24 hours tell you exactly where everything is so you can go find it yourself. It's like you just took out half of the intention of like to keep you busy with it.
You're talking about popcorn buckets, aren't you? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Pizza Planet popcorn bucket thing. Yep. I didn't want to allude to it too much, but just things like that.
It's a buzzkill. It's for sure a buzzkill. It takes away from, like, the magic of it, and again, like, that's not the conversations that's not how this started anyway, like, it was just conversations we are having, like, we find this entertaining. Let's just make a let's just record these conversations that we're having because 'cause they're fun to have, and I think there are some of our topics that get us thinking and hopefully get our listeners thinking outside of just what would I wanna try, but I think just thinking about how they operate in general, whether it's in the parks or outside of them. I think we do an okay job of that. So this is my soapbox platform. I just really want this to be a soapbox on whatever topic comes in my mind.
Exactly how this started was, when we'd go to the parks and we'd see something, we want to go talk about it. So now, for example, me discovering Maurice's treats for the first time in I don't know how many times I've been there. And the first thing I wanted to go do was like, Amanda, we got to talk about this.
I was excited you brought it up.
And immediately when I brought it up to her, it was like, oh, I want to go talk about Red Rose Tavern too. And here we are talking about it. It's great.
Let's get into Maurice's treats. I love Maurice's treats. So I know you said you just recently found it. I stumbled upon it too, though. So it wasn't. I think it's probably been like maybe 1 or 2 years at this point since I've been aware of it, and it was definitely on accident. I don't even know how I came across it. I might have been going to the Royal Theater or something. I don't think I found it on the. It might have been that I found it on the app when I was just like scrolling through the dining, and I'm like, "What's this?" And I was like, "Oh, let me go find it," and I searched for it. So it was either so to be honest, I actually don't remember if it was I was walking in the area and I was like, "What's this?" Actually, I think I was just walking in the area and I'm like, "What's this?" And I was like, "Okay, well, let me check it out." But there were some options on there, which I'll let you catapult and start the conversation, and then I'll go on. But that's my knowledge of it. And then you said you recently came across it because you didn't like what Red Rose Tavern had.
Yeah, because I was with family and they were trying to get all the non Disney World Fantasyland items knocked out. So Mr. Toad and Snow White and Pinocchio. I had missed breakfast because I had to drive some way. They were staying at the Disneyland hotel. So they already all ate, and I'm like, I am like we went on Hyperspace Mountain 2 or 3 times. It was wonderful. But I'm like, I am hungry. I need some food now, and I don't want to walk all the way to go get my normal beignets because I wanted to stay relatively close to them. So I'm like, all right, I'm looking up food options in Fantasyland area. I looked at Red Rose Tavern. A lot of it was the dinner and
The lunch stuff by then, yeah.
yeah. So if I had been there for breakfast, I would have stopped at Red Rose. Now seeing what's on the menu there, but I was like, okay, let me go through the options here. I saw Maurice's treats. I'm like, okay, let me see. Like, all right. What stopped me initially was I saw blueberry and cheese Danish, and I'm like, Danish isn't. I'm like, all right, that actually sounds pretty good with like a coffee. And then I get over there and I see this beautiful ham and cheese croissant with honey mustard, which you can get without. It was weird because every time somebody was going through the line, and they were like 10 people were ordering this, and every time they asked, we can give you ones without the honey mustard. Not sure if it's not as popular with the honey mustard or not, but I had the ham and cheese croissant, the blueberry and cheese Danish, which I'm a sucker for, like breakfast Danishes like that, especially the fruit filled ones. And then the is it nitro? It might have been nitro cold, but the cold brew coffee, and you can get it flavored. So the cold brew coffee, and then I got the caramel flavor pumps in it. And walked over there, walked right back over to Fantasyland, sat down by the carousel, listened to the music, and I was in heaven eating the croissant, the ham and cheese croissant. I'm like, I almost went back for another one if I could fill up more, but I knew we had other snacks planned. That's all I really did that day, was other than Hyperspace Mountain with snacks.
Hey, you sound like me.
I know I am what you've made me. But even like, so my family got off the ride, and my sister is also a cold brew fan, and she tried it out too. And I will say, like, I would rather wait in line for that cold brew than go Starbucks and get the same old whatever their seasonal stuff.
It's probably so much better
Cheaper and better for sure.
and less of a wait time.
Less of a wait. Yeah. I mean, I by the time I was only like the second person in line, but there was like 10 other people behind me, because like kind of one of those like phenomenons. Like once people start getting in line, other people's like, oh, it must be good. I'm gonna go get in line. I turned around, there was 10 people.
It moves quick though, because they have 2 people usually. It usually moves pretty quick.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. It was just one of those, like, people were not hearing the other cashier say, like, next person come over. Yeah. So I'm like directing the traffic. But I also saw they had what was it? The garlic pretzel sticks with the marinara sauce too, which I wanted that, but I was like, I'll wait.
Yes, so good. I think between the both of us, we've tried everything at that stand because those are the only everything that you mentioned, I think are the only things I haven't tried there. Not and by the way, there's not that many options. It's a cart, everyone. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's the croissant, there's the Danish. They usually sometimes have cinnamon donut holes. I don't know if they have them anymore, but they had them at one point, and I used to get those for breakfast sometimes.
You're telling me this now.
I don't know if they still have them there. I haven't been there in a while.
I'm you keep going. I'm finding out.
It's not listed on the menu on the app, but that doesn't mean they might not have them because because they also have something that is my least favorite thing I've ever eaten at a Disney park is at Maurice's Treats, but also one of the best things ever. So before I get to that and ruin everyone's day, we need to sell you on Maurice's Treats first before we say, hey, there's this thing I tried that wasn't good. So Maurice's Treats, definitely highly recommend everyone. It is, if you don't know where it is, it's near the Royal Theater. So if you are facing the castle and you take the path to your left and you just kind of follow that, the cart is in that area. So see the cart. They again, it's literally imagine what a churro cart looks like. That's what this cart looks like. It's called Maurice's Treats, and it has basic simple options like basically those 3 food options that Brian and I described, which is the croissant and then the cheese pretzel, the cheese filled pretzel. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Yeah. Garlic cheesy pretzel bread, ham and cheese croissant, and then the cream cheese and blueberry filled Danish.
Also, what I'll say is one of those things that is easily shareable because it's like pre-cut into like 4 pieces. Like it's at the garlic cheese pretzel bread. It's definitely a shareable thing. It's good though. It is so good.
Yeah, it looked big.
I don't get the marinara sauce with it, but and then drink wise, so Ryan, you mentioned the cold brew. They also have hot cocoa and regular coffee and water. That's basically as their drink options. But they also have a frozen apple boysenberry. Is that what it's called? Apple boysenberry?
Poison apple freeze.
Yeah, poison apple. Yeah. I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna like this. I feel like it's gonna taste like applesauce, but let me try it. I have to say, I was like, I don't know what this stuff is. I don't know what this tastes like. I was really worried. And then also like because you see it in the slushy machine kind of thing, like going around, and you're kind of looking at it, you're like, it kind of looks like an applesauce slushy, which does not sound good. But it doesn't taste like that. I don't know what that would taste like. However, I enjoyed it because again, it was one of those things where I'm like, let me just try something new. It was really good. So if you want to try a new snack, we just gave you a great new snack place to try out some new snacks is Maurice's Treats. And if you want to try a new place to eat, then you have Red Rose Tavern. It's fun. Back to your point about not getting everything spoiled and listening to these things where it's like, girl, because you can first of all, you can never cover everywhere someone should go or everything they should eat. And like you said, there's no here's the best way to do Disney. It's like here are some things that are going to be more effective and efficient to make the most use of your time. Like don't go wait in a 2-hour Rise of the Resistance line when you could go back later in the day and wait in a 60-minute line. Stuff like that. But I think that part of the magic of being at Disneyland is just exploring the different areas and then you come across things like I mean, it's fun to talk about and be like, "Oh, try this new snack at this place," because there are things that show up on Instagram. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna try that. Where's that?" But I will say is not as satisfying, not as satisfying to see something like that on social media or maybe if someone mentions something on a podcast where I'm not visually seeing it, but not as satisfying as I'm wandering around in Fantasyland and I come across this cart. I'm like, "Oh, what's here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I found a new thing." Then you try it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so great." And now I have a new snack. I don't know. That's how I feel about
So I will give Instagram because there is a snack that I did not think I was going to talk about here, but since we're talking about like in this realm here, there is a snack that is not on the menu. I was under the impression it was on the menu at the refreshment corner. What is it? What do they call it? The cinnamon cream cheese. Was it cinnamon roll cream cheese pretzel or cinnamon roll pretzel? I think is what it's called, and it's a hidden item.
at Maurice's Treats.
No, it's at the refreshment corner though. I know we're not in that realm, but I think it's only a seasonal thing. But my sister found this as an Instagram thing. I thought it was on the menu, kind of like those. And I'm starting to wonder if there's other hidden menu stuff. Essentially, what it is, it's the like the cream cheese pretzels you get at the like pretzel stands, but they glaze it like the top with the brown sugar and cinnamon, and then like a cinnamon roll cream cheese glaze on top.
Is that not on the menu?
No, I thought so too. Like I thought it was just another one of those on the menu things.
Seen it and I've had it and I thought it was on the menu.
Maybe it's like on like how they have the little placards up, but yeah, because I didn't order it. My dad actually is the one who ordered it, and he came back with like 6 of them. I was like, I could have eaten like a half of one.
That's a good point you make though about the fact of like not everything on the app is the only things that these places have. And a lot of that is like supply like stuff that they like know for sure they're gonna have in supply, I think, are the things I always see. But there are other things on there that you're not necessarily gonna see on there, especially like Jolly Holiday. They don't have a lot of those things on like they're like you can order coffee and there are certain like staple items that they'll most likely always have, but a lot of the seasonal stuff you're not gonna see on the menu because usually they run out halfway through the day, like, there's no guarantee, so you have to physically go to see what they have. Same with Refreshments Corner. I know that there are some places where they'll have something on the sign that you can order, but not necessarily in the app. So back to Maurice's Treats, they have a basket and they have this cinnamon roll called Make It Pink, Make It Blue Cinnamon Roll, okay? I don't know if it's because I saw it on the app at one point, or I saw someone post about it on social media or something like that. I'm like, "Oh, I love Maurice's Treats." I'm like, "Make it pink, make it blue cinnamon roll." I go, "Cinnamon roll, yes. Sleeping Beauty themed food, absolutely yes. And double pink and blue glaze on this cinnamon roll, absolutely." Like, I'm so excited. So I was like, "Cool. That's what I'm having for breakfast next time I go to the park." I actually start my day getting to the park was like this was like one of those days where it was like a rain cloud was following me or something. Like I felt like I was like in a cartoon. I think I might have texted you like during that, like you might have even understood. Like
I do remember this day actually. Yep.
I almost missed my flight. Like, they called my name over the speaker, was, like, how close I came to missing my flight, and then I was in, like, a really, like, odd seat because I was in Southwest, it was, like, the only, like, middle seat, and, like, person next to me had, like, extreme BO. Then there were, like, gum stuck to my shoe, and, like, some other things happened when I got in the park, and I was like, "You know what? Whatever. It's worth it. I cannot wait to have this cinnamon roll." I go to Maurice's Treats, I get a hot chocolate, and I get this pink and blue cinnamon roll. And I'm like, "Oh, it looks pretty enough." I mean, I would have thought the cinnamon roll would look more cinnamon rolly, but whatever. But the top part with like the way that the pink and blue frosting mixed together with like the sparkly sprinkles on top. I'm like, oh, it's pretty. I take a bite of it. It tastes like cardboard. I spit it out. I don't spit out food normally. I was so mad. Number one, I was already having a really bad day. And it was like so windy. Like you couldn't even enjoy the part. It was so windy. I think it was the day that that pole fell on that lady.
I think so.
That was, yeah, it was that day that I had gone. So it's just like an all around like, are you serious? I was looking so forward to the snack, and and I paid money for it, and it was the most disgusting thing I've ever especially at Disney. I was upset because it is not that is not a Disney norm to find. Like you're gonna find food that's like not so great because it's like, oh yeah, it's park food, like whatever. But you're not gonna find like, oh, this is gross. Like like part of me was like, this is not edible. So, yeah, it was so stale, it was so just ugh,
And this is the food item at Maurice's Treats you did not like. That was the one you were mentioning earlier. You didn't like.
yeah. So I do not recommend getting it. You'll see it because it's like they have, like, the basket on top of where the register thing is, and it's, like, in the little, like, plastic container.
So they don't keep it warm. It's like pre-made. It's not like at Jolly Holiday where it's like fresh. Okay.
Like a prepackaged in the, like, plastic container. Here you go. Like, if they kept it in the warmer, like a real thing isn't which again, I get if you're gonna have, like, a large quantity. Sure, but then don't put it on your menu if you're not gonna do it right. Like, which is surprising because they don't do there's not many Disney misses, especially with snacks. Maybe with, like maybe food is like, it's park food, so it's not, like, great. I get it. But with snacks, I don't think I've ever had such a letdown when it came to snacks. And it's sad that it was at Maurice's Treats, but don't let that scare you away from Maurice's Treats because everything else there is fantastic, whether I've had it or Ryan's had it. So, between the both of us, we've had everything.
Yeah. I am seeing a drink that also is catching my eye. That again, you wouldn't like it because it's coffee related, but the mocha nitro cold brew. So, like in New York, we used to have the like cafe mocha, which is just half coffee, half hot chocolate. So I'm assuming it's the same concept, but with a cold brew. And I think if when I saw was there that they did like the half and half, the cafe mocha too.
I mean, every once in a while, like I'll do like a mocha or an espresso or something like I do like hardcore coffee, like real stuff, not like oh douse sugar and call it coffee.
You talking about like espressos and all that?
Yeah, like if I'm gonna drink coffee, I'm gonna drink like real coffee. Yeah, like I'll do a cappuccino every once in a while. Like I gotta be in the mood for it, or like a mocha or an espresso. Like I'm Middle Eastern, like we do Turkish coffee. Like that's I'm used to very strong stuff, and, like, I'm not like, "Oh, let me drink coffee to, like, drink coffee and wake up in the like, no, not like the American wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee, like, I don't do coffee that way. It's, like, more so something if I have coffee, it's either I'm having cappuccino at brunch or I'm sitting down for coffee when I'm eating a dessert, like, after dinner, and it's, like, again, like an espresso or something like that is how I drink coffee, not, like, in the morning kind of thing or, like, to function throughout the day kinda thing. Every once in a while, you do caramel macchiato for fun, but if I was, like, in the mood and I was like, "Oh, like, let me try" the mocha one sound the mocha nitro, right? Is that
Mocha nitro mocha. It's a tongue twister. Mocha nitro cold. Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, it doesn't sound bad.
No, it sounds good, and I am not. Maybe I've made it sound like I am like the Starbucks cold brew, like the seasonal flavors. I actually do not like when I drink coffee. I have to drink it black because I don't usually like, especially hot coffee. I don't like cream and sugar. I don't like the sweetness because I used to work at a coffee shop and I used to take my coffee that way. Tim Hortons. I used to get a double double, and you're tasting the cream of the sugar. And then I went to, I think it was when I was in Puerto Rico, and they actually had me try like the different types of beans and different roasts and flavors. And like once they taught you like actually how to like taste the flavor of coffee and not just Folgers bitterness, you can really enjoy a coffee and what it actually is.
Yeah, taste real coffee.
Like, yeah, I love espresso. I love cappuccino and the little, if you are a DVC person, and there's the DVC lounge up in Tomorrowland, they actually have an espresso maker up there. And I got to have it. We took a break and we went up there for a little bit. Pretty good for what do you want to call it? A machine espresso maker, like
A park machine? Yeah.
yeah, park machine. So I mean, not at home type style, but it was still pretty good. And like yeah, the cold brew, it is like black cold brew. Like I don't think I think they had cream. I don't remember if they had cream, but I do know they have like the flavor shots. So I was like the 3 punts of caramel, hazelnut.
Yeah, yeah, they have, like, the caramel and vanilla.
Yeah, but it's still black coffee. I don't think it comes with cream for those who like cold brew.
I don't know that there are many other places outside the Starbucks, like the coffee market on Main Street, that you could get a cold brew.
No, I don't. Yeah,
Are those the only 2 places?
yeah, I think so. I think it's just hot coffee.
Yeah, like regular hot like, get a coffee at, like, Mint Julep bar.
Yeah,
I'm saying that because I do regularly look at the menus for all the food places just to say, "What am I in the mood for today?" And I don't know that I've seen many cold brews outside that. So if you're a cold brew fan and you're like, "I want my coffee fix, but I don't wanna wait at Starbucks," also, your go-to is Red Rose Tavern or Maurice's Treats. Like, if you don't wanna wait in line, Red Rose Tavern will have, like, different themed flavored cold brews. Check it out. Mobile order at Red Rose Tavern. And the cool thing is you can also mobile order your breakfast. So sometimes if I get to the park early enough, I will walk in the park and I will mobile order from Red Rose Tavern. So by the time I get there, my ordering windows. Or if it's not like an immediate window and it's like a half hour, hour later, like ordering window, then you like go hit up Space Mountain or Indiana Jones, you get on 1 or 2 rides and then you go have your breakfast.
yeah. And like you're going to Disney, a lot of people just want to like nonchalant. Just I'm just gonna go get my Starbucks on Main Street. Like if you're at Disney, why not get like go eat at a Disney themed restaurant? Well, sit down area, so call it a restaurant. But as opposed to standing in line at a Starbucks, getting just your Starbucks drink and food item. You can get at any Starbucks anywhere. Why not get a Disney themed cold brew, coffee, drink, and food item in a very well Disney themed restaurant? Food for thought.
You don't think they're using the same coffee all throughout the park?
The Starbucks will use the Starbucks brand, but the other ones will use, like the Disney ones will use Joffrey's.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So if you like Joffrey's, which Joffrey's is a good brand, yeah. So the Disney restaurants, they'll use Joffrey's, but the Starbucks itself will just use their Starbucks brand. And Joffrey's is good alone. I don't like it is actually. I know it's huge at Disney World.
For a theme park, it's good coffee.
Yeah, and they have the Joffrey stand in California Adventure, which people I think just assume it's just a coffee stand. The one right by the bridge area.
Isn't it just a coffee stand?
No, it's they serve Joffrey's there. I think it's labeled as Joffrey's.
Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
A friend of mine found it at TJ Maxx. Like TJ Maxx has like Disney themed Joffrey's coffees you can buy in bags at home. Like there was one that was like a Halloween pumpkin holiday. Yep.
Yes, I've seen that.
So I have that. The coffee you're getting at Red Rose and Maurice's would be Joffrey's, and I love Joffrey, so it's not as expensive as Starbucks. I know Starbucks is big, but for how much you pay for Starbucks, I'm just as good having a Joffrey's. And like I said, I'd rather be at a Disney themed thing. Like if I'm going to Fantasyland, especially like you got the kids early in the morning, you want to knock out Fantasyland. There's not many food options there.
Yeah.
Hit up Maurice's Treats or Red Rose Tavern, you're gold.
I wanna plan a Disney day where I'm going early enough to go have breakfast now.
Oh, for sure.
Like, now I'm like, "Maybe I should do rope drop." I don't do rope drop. So, I'm kicking myself because I had the opportunity to do rope drop in December, and I didn't, and I wish I did. The only reason I wanna do rope drop is there are did I tell you about the candy canes?
Yeah, how they make the candy. You see them make the candy.
How they make them fresh during the holiday and there's certain days at each of the parks that they do them, but you basically have to get there right when the park opens to, like, put your name on the list to even, like, have a chance to get one, and I was like, I'm just tired, I'm gonna be here till the fireworks, so I don't wanna, like, spend the whole day because I don't need to." I decided not to, but anyway.
That would be worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be worth it. You do all day, but I don't normally do rope drop, so and if you're driving in and you're getting in, like, after the big rush and stuff. However, so breakfast goes till 10:30. I think all the spots that offer a breakfast option go till 10:30. Do you know if they close Maurice's Treats at any point, or is it open all day?
No, it's open. I gotta assume maybe like right before fireworks.
Fireworks is when it would definitely yeah, I
You know what? No, I think. Well, obviously, I don't think they're serving during the fireworks.
because they close that area of the park of the castle, don't they?
The Fantasyland area, like behind it, yes, but Maurice's Treats is in front, so you're still good.
Right, but do they block off that side to get there? Because they do that on the other side of the castle where the wishing well is.
Oh, by Snow White?
They block that off
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think they do. You're right, because you're still close enough. Yep.
because they don't want people walking back and forth. I think they block it off. Well, anyway, most of the day it's there.
I was say unlocking a core memory. I remember growing up, that's where we'd go get hot chocolate to watch the fireworks in the colder California months.
Is Maurice's Streets,
Uh-huh.
and now you have rediscovered it.
Right.
You've rediscovered it, and it is amazing.
Yep.
I'm telling you though, the first time I went there, I was like, let's see how this is." I was like, "Oh, they have some breakfast options," and I, like, looked at everything. This is legit.
Mhm.
Like, this isn't like your normal, like, stand like, "Oh, what do you don't know what to expect," kinda thing. You're like, "Oh, is it like a cheesy hot dog or corn dog?" Dude, it's legit. The food items are legit, and they're better than what you could imagine. Because 'cause I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard about the garlic cheese pretzel bread or whatever it's called,
Mhm.
I'm like, "Okay, it's probably this, like, pretzel twist that, like, might have, like, a little bit of, like, garlic sauce on it, and it's, like, cheesy bread," where it's, like, whatever. So that's what, like, I'm assuming it's just, like, an average size, like, pretzel twist that has, like, garlic cheese sauce on it. I don't wanna pull around and be like, "Boy, was I wrong."
Yeah.
I was just imitating you.
Good flashback.
I don't talk like that.
I thought the same thing though too. I thought it was exactly how you described.
When you tried the food and you're like, "Boy, was I wrong."
No, I meant like when I saw a garlic cheesy I thought they were like pretzel sticks, like just like a pretzel stick. So you're basically saying it's like it's pretzel bread.
Imagine a baguette, okay, but it's a pretzel.
Yeah.
It's not long, like, it is kinda long, but it's a little bit thicker, okay? But, like, baguette shaped, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I was thinking like just like Olive Garden breadstick but pretzels.
Yeah, like, that's what I thought it was, or like a pretzel twist, like it no, that's not what it is, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I thought it was gonna be, is, like, something, like, dinky.
Mhm.
And it's actually pretty thick, and, like, both sides, and then it's imagine it's just a baked piece of pretzel bread,
Mhm.
and it's cut, and then they have, like, the garlic and the cheese, and it's, like, a lot of cheese, like, it is a generous portion,
Yeah.
and then it's, like, cut into, like, 4s and stuff like that, and I'll eat, like, half of it, and then I'll save the other half, or I'll go eat, like, 3/4 of it, and I just can't finish the rest because it's so, but I'm usually forcing myself to get more than halfway.
Like you're saying like pull apart bread then? Like when you do like garlic cheesy pull apart bread?
Kind of, yeah, yeah, like, yeah, similar, I would say more like that than not, yeah.
Okay. I mean that I was debating that. It was between that and ham and cheese,
Not exactly that.
but close.
Yeah, like, same imagery, I guess, but just imagine, like, you have, like, a cheese sandwich, and it's just, like, cut into 4s, and then you just, like, break it apart, and, like, the cheese like, almost like a grilled cheese sandwich, and you kinda pull it apart. It's more like that than, like, the pull away bread, but, yeah, it's ugh. And the pretzel bread is, like, it's, like, soft, it's not, like, hard or stale, where you would expect, like, oh, something like that, and it's, like, sitting in the heater. No, it's, like, it tastes super fresh.
Yeah.
And I've had it in the morning, and I've had it later in the day as well. So, and I've had pretty much the same experience.
Yeah, that was what I was kinda shocked with it, like, especially because it's a cart, like, with the ham and cheese croissant, like, I'm thinking it's, like, a pre-made like, it tastes like it just came out of the oven, and they don't throw it in like, you go to Starbucks, they throw it in the toaster, comes out like it the croissant is still, warm and flaky, and, the cheese is yeah, like, it's definitely doesn't taste like it's just been sitting up there.
But I mean, I wanna try it now. I'm not normally a ham and cheese person, but I would wanna try it.
Normally, I'm not, and it's not just, like, American cheese.
If I didn't have anything else on the docket for food-wise that, like, I was really like, "Oh, I really wanna eat this," then I would probably try it.
Yeah, and it's not like an American or a cheddar cheese, like, it's all like a provolone or a Gruyere, so it's not just, like, American breakfast sandwich style, like, it is good, and even same thing with the blueberry Danish, like, it's not you go to the gas station or the grocery store, you get that prepackaged Danish, like, whatever, like,
Isn't it generously sized?
yep, generously sized. It looks like it's like freshly glazed, and it's not again not stale or dry like it's been sitting out in a window all day. Like it was like soft, not like what you would get like a grocery store.
or like the cinnamon roll they have there that
like the cinnamon roll. So oddly enough, like the one thing that sounded like it was really good turned out not to be good, where everything else where sounds so basic and it actually is just amazing.
still so upset, still mad about it.
Sometimes simplicity is the best.
Still mad about it. If you're not gonna do it right, don't do it at all. That's what my mom would always tell me.
Exactly. It's true.
And then I would try to say, "Then I won't do it," and then I would get in trouble. So I did not have an option. Just do it right.
Yeah. So what did you do with the rest of the croissant? That croissant, the cinnamon roll. You just tossed it, gave it to the ducks, the baby ducks.
I wanna say I don't think I ate it. I don't think I could.
Well, you spat it out. I assume you would like hitting it on the table.
I might have licked the frosting. Oh, that was the other thing. No, no, no. That the other thing was the frosting wasn't even that great.
Oh, hmm.
It wasn't as good as I would expect Disney frosting to be. It wasn't impressive.
Major let.
I mean, I definitely when I first bit into it, I was like, "Ew," and then I think I was like I ate a bite or 2 because I didn't wanna be wasteful.
Hmm.
So I think I still ate I don't know that I ate all of it, but I think I ate some of it. I don't remember, it was so long ago.
Yeah, it's not good.
I definitely was like, "This is not good."
It's so bad.
And I was like, "I just wasted all those calories and sugar calories when I could have been having a beignet.
Yeah,
Coulda had a bag full of powdered sugar instead of gross." The frosting didn't even fully have flavor. At least expect the frosting to be good.
like Walmart brand topping frosting you put on.
Not even Walmart frosting probably tasted better than that.
Probably.
It was very disappointing, especially for Disney. Like I would need this anywhere, not like, "Oh, I it didn't meet Disney expectations." Like, it didn't meet any expectations food-wise. I don't know how they still have it. Like, why do you still have this? You probably don't sell much. You probably sell it because people are like, "Oh, I'm a new person," and I'm like, "This looks good, and I want something quick." So I grab it, and it's like, "This is gross." Never buy it again.
If you're listening to Magic Key Chats, do not get the what is it? Pretty
Don't. There's better things to waste your calories and money on. Not that. Not that.
we've only covered a fraction of them too. That's the best part.
And we've only covered one other snack.
We've covered beignets, Maurice's treats, and the one not to get. Well, we've covered two snacks not to get.
Grape beignets
Great beignets.
and the pink and blue cinnamon roll or whatever.
Cinnamon roll is the cinnamon bun.
It's called Make It Pink, Make It Blue cinnamon.
Is there a difference to you when you hear cinnamon roll and cinnamon bun?
Um,
I know there is a difference.
I'm sure there's a difference.
Mhm.
In my mind, they are
The same.
interchanged with how they're talked about and referenced.
Yep.
But if you were to be like, "Oh, I want a cinnamon roll," then it looks a certain way.
Mhm.
If I want a cinnamon bun, it looks a different way. Like if you go to Cinnabon, you're getting cinnamon buns. You're not getting cinnamon rolls because cinnamon rolls are like curved around each other. And the cinnamon buns are more like the bread like thing. But they both have frosting on them, so they're technically the same thing in my opinion. They're just baked differently.
Yeah, I think it's like one's like more pastry style, and the other is like a like bread bun dough type. Yeah.
I prefer the pastry side.
Oh, do you? Oh, I like the bun better.
Oh, I'm a cinnamon roll over cinnamon bun.
I'm a bun.
'Cause it's more bready and yeah, it's more bready and thick and, like, more like biting and chewing versus a cinnamon roll, which is, like I said, more pastry and, like, the frosting is, like, in there
Flakes off as you peel it.
yeah, and it's, like it's more moist. It's just it's a better eating experience.
We're making all of our listeners very hungry.
Now I'm thinking now I wonder if it's make it pink, make it blue cinnamon bun or cinnamon roll. Had to be cinnamon bun because it's a cinnamon bun, not roll as my
Google. I'm gonna see if it even has it. Make it pink.
it's not on the menu anymore, but they have it there because I saw it when I was there the last.
Make it pink. Make it blue. Cocktail.
Where's that?
It's on the quick Google search.
Oh, that's just something you can make.
Cinnamon roll. No, it's a roll. I'm looking. Yeah, that's definitely a roll.
Well, it looks more like a bun, first of all, and it tastes more like a bun, but a gross one. Are you reading a review about it?
I'm looking at the photos of it.
It looks gross, right?
Yes.
It was no, I didn't see it on social media. I read it on the menu.
By name, it sounds good.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love cinnamon rolls. Who doesn't love a good cinnamon roll?" You're like, "Oh, and it's Disney. It must be an amazing cinnamon roll." First of all, how do you mess up a cinnamon roll? Especially if you're Disney. How the heck do you mess up a cinnamon roll or bun? Cinnamon roll or bun.
Especially with how good the Danish is there too.
Yeah, right. Well, that was my expectation. My expectation is I'd eaten at Maurice's Treats multiple times. And it's like, oh, even better, it's at Maurice's Treats. It must be good.
Yeah.
It must be good, right? So I get up there and I said, I want the make it pink, make it blue cinnamon roll. And she's like, okay. So she rings me up and a hot chocolate. So she goes, gets my hot chocolate first. And then the small basket that's sitting on top are prepackaged, like in the plastic little tin thing, and she just picks it up and she hands it to me. And I was like, "Thank you." And I was like, "What the heck?" Like in my head, I was like, "What?" Like first of all, without even looking at it, I'm like, "Wait a minute. Like what? That's the cinnamon roll?" Like I'm expecting like there's a cinnamon roll in like the the heating area that's either pre-glazed or they like pour the glaze on top of, or maybe they give you like a container of the glaze and you put it on yourself, like you know how you have the churro dips and stuff.
Mhm.
Which why are you not doing that? What are you giving me? What are you handing me right now? And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe like it's not that bad. And it's like, okay, whatever, because you could get one of those gas station bagged cinnamon rolls that taste freaking better than this stale, gross thing I had that I would not even qualify as a snack, let alone like should be acknowledged as a Disney snack. And why do they still get rid of it or improve it, Disney? That's what I have to say. Especially like don't taint Maurice's treats.
They're tarnishing.
Everything is amazing except that one thing that is the worst thing in the entire park. And that's where it is, where all the greatest things are? What?
How dare they tarnish Maurice's treats name?
Did you think I'd get this passionate?
The best way I could describe it is like something like Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons were released as like a promotional donut, like or cinnamon roll in this case. Like a teenage kid working as a baker, because I was one of those. I know what it's like. Like that's something like that they would put together, not Disney. Like it's just they just put the frosting on top and then put sprinkles.
Yeah, but you wouldn't make a stale, gross donut either, though. You might make a stupid donut.
They had an overstock on cinnamon rolls and they had to find a way to like, hey, these ones are about to go expire. Maurice's treats, help a brother out. let's do this up real quick so we can get rid of it.
Or like whoever their supplier is, like get a new what? It's an abomination. An abomination to all Disney park food and snacks is that stupid thing. And it's an abomination to have a Sleeping Beauty themed snack finally.
Yes.
I was when I read this, I was in heaven. Okay? I was in heaven. I was like, there's a Sleeping Beauty themed snack. It's right by the castle. It's a breakfast snack. It's a cinnamon roll. It has frosting all over it and it's pink and blue frosting. It's like totally with the theme. This sounds amazing. And then I'm looking down. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I was like, okay, maybe looks can be deceiving. So I take a bite and I was like, what is this? And then I was like, maybe it's like the outside. So I tried to eat from the inside to think it would be better. It wasn't. Maybe like 5% better, but not much. It was one of the most devastating experiences I've ever had at Disney. I know this is sad and pathetic and like first world problems and first world Disney problems.
Yeah. With all the ups we've talked about Red Rose Tavern and Maurice's treats though, like sad that it's just like this one negative about it. Like don't let that ruin your experience with it too. Just don't get that stupid cinnamon roll.
Everything else is fine. It's just stay beware. Beware. And by the way, if you like don't even it's not listed on the menu anymore. It's just there. Which by the way, it might not be listed on the menu because they took it off and then they're just trying to sell whatever they have. It's because it's still there. I remember seeing it. So if you do see packaged, prepackaged cinnamon buns or cinnamon rolls or whatever they're calling them at Maurice's Streets, go for the Danish instead.
I'm gonna put out a poll there to see for the folks on social media, poll to see who was more fired up about a certain snack. Was I more fired up about the great beignets, or were you more fired up about the pink or blue cinnamon roll? You'll have to watch both episodes. And we'll see. That was so long ago that I talked about it too. I just remember how hot it was. I'm like, this is reminiscent
Yeah, but you accidentally ordered grape beignets and ate them without knowing and got mad.
because I thought I was doing something awesome.
I knowingly went in being like, "This is gonna."
My friends did that the other day with the peach beignets. They accidentally ordered the peach beignets.
Did you accidentally order them when you tried it, or were you purposely ordering them?
No, and I actually noticed this on the app now is they actually, and it maybe they had it before, but I did notice now that they have the option for assorted.
Yeah, I saw that.
So if you want 3 of the season and 3 of the right, that's what we did this time. My other friends that were there, they wanted 6 beignets.
Do they give you 2 different bags?
Mm,
Are they 2 different bags?
yeah, to do 2 different bags.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah,
I was like, "I hope they don't put them in the same one. I would not wanna mix my powdered sugar ones with my peach sugar."
it it defeats the purpose of the assorted if it's in the same bag. Because I was curious at that first, but they did the same thing I did. They thought they were just getting a 6 pack of normal beignets, not knowing, and they're magic key holders. They're not novices, and they did the same thing. They got 6 peach beignets. So I willingly split from the normal ones, but I think it's the way they label it in the app. It's not very obvious.
What they it's not necessarily the way they label it, but you're just assuming the first thing that pops up is just the regular beignets, but what they do is they put the seasonal stuff up first. So when you're going in, you're thinking, "Oh, 6 pack assorted, 3 pack," you're like, "Mickey beignets," and you're just like that's what you're seeing because 'cause you're looking more at the right side, so you're kinda seeing the beignet part, and so you would think you'd have to go search for the seasonal stuff. That's why, it's because the seasonal stuff is listed first.
Yeah,
But yes, I did notice that they do the last time I was there, I was actually almost ordered accidentally did the assorted one, and then I was like, "What's assorted?" Because I saw the themed one, and I was like, "I don't want that, I just want a 6 pack," and then the assorted one was right above it, and then I was like, "Assorted," I was like, "Wait a minute, I don't want that, I just want the regular ones."
yeah. Which peach ones for a quick, not a beignet episode. Peach ones, if you like peach rings, you may like this one, but kind of same thoughts on the grape beignets. Wasn't what, but I wasn't that disgusted with them like it was the grape beignets. The peach, I definitely throw it out of the park, but not terrible.
So they don't have the ube ones now anymore?
Nope, nope. So peach must have just started because I think literally last week when I went, it was ube, and now it's peach.
So they had the ube ones for what, like 2 weeks or a month? Because it wasn't long ago that they had the grape ones.
Right.
They still had them in March.
Yeah. So ube only lasted about 2 months then, and then peach beignet.
Did they have the ube ones in March as well?
Think toward the end of it. So they're doing what, about two? I'd say about 2.5 months each, maybe 2 months if the peppermint ones went on halfway through January. So let's just say on average every 2 months, new beignet flavor.
They need to hire new people for beignet R&D.
Yeah.
Reference our beignet episode, everybody.
Yes. If you want to hear me fire it up, go to that episode. Peach mint julep though is, I mean, I know we've talked. You don't like peach flavor.
Oh,
The peach that wasn't bad. I was disappointed Huckleberry Finn wasn't there, but peach.
it's not there anymore. I think the huckleberry mint julep, I almost called it the huckleberry fin mint julep. Thanks a lot, making me misspeak. I think that should be a normal offering along with the regular mint julep.
Yeah,
I would assume in the, like, later summer months, they'll bring the lavender back because I think that's when they usually have the lavender. I don't mind the lavender one.
yeah, that doesn't sound bad. Peach, like I said, the peach wasn't bad.
Peach is a weird flavor.
Yeah, like peach and mint though too. Like that kind of shocked me, but it it wasn't as like you said the peach beignets tasted like those peach rings.
Also ill.
So like pure peach flavoring. Yeah, the at least the peach mint julep didn't taste like peach syrup. It had at least more natural peach flavors, I believe, is like the best way I can describe it.
Okay.
So that's where the at least the mint julep wasn't. It was I still enjoyed it, like because I like peach. I wasn't as huge as the peach beignets, so I was glad I got the assorted.
Look at how deep we're getting into very basic snacks. So this is why we can do a whole episode dedicated to one snack is because we can go down the rabbit hole. So if you have any comments or feedback on Maurice's Treats or Red Rose Tavern, and you have any other suggestions about any other snacks you want to hear us deep dive in, please make sure to DM us on our Instagram at Magic Key Chats, or you can send us an email at magickeychats@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Get involved, comment, send us a message. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another fresh episode. And until next time, may all your dreams come true.